Everybody. Welcome to Community Conversations produced by Midwest Women's Herbal. I'm Sherry Ralish. I'm your hostess for this evening. And if you want to just go ahead and type into the chat your name and where you're calling from tonight, it's always interesting to see. Sometimes we have women from different countries and around the world, so that's kind of fun. So if you want to go ahead and type in your name and where you're calling in from tonight. In case you're not familiar with Midwest Women's Herbal, we're a women-led and women-empowered organization that's been producing in-person and online events for over 14 years. We're delighted that you're with us for tonight's free community conversation, Speak and Sing, Claiming Your Voice, a community conversation with Linda Conroy and Celia Farran. I'm happy to have other coordinating team members here, and if they want to give a wave, go ahead, ladies. It takes a strong village to produce a number of events that we do, and we're happy to see some of you on the call tonight. I'd like to introduce Barb Went. She's one of our team members, and she'll be reading our vision and mission statement, and we like to begin each of our programs with that. So, Barb, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Sherry. Hello, everyone. We'll start with our Midwest Women's Herbal mission statement. Midwest Women's Herbal provides herbal education and opportunities for transformation, immersed in the tradition of the village herbalist, grandmothers, mothers, daughters, sisters, and children gathered in a co-created village. Through earth-centered healing and nourishment, we ally with the plants that grow around us. From the ground up, we connect to weave ourselves, our family, and our communities into a dynamic spiral of health. And next up is our Midwest Women's Herbal Vision Statement. We live in a world where the feminine is honored and respected, where women stand fully in their power, acknowledging their wisdom, skills, and innate healing abilities. Sherry,
Thank you, Barb. Thank you so much, Barb.
No problem.
So in the coming days, we're going to be sending you some communications. And if you respond to the email and say hello, then we're connected and things can avoid going to your spam folder. And after tonight's conversation, we're going to send you an email with some coupons and any follow-up information so we can all focus on the chat tonight. At this time, we'd like to thank our sponsors who make hosting events like this possible. So we have Moonwise Herbs, Mountain Rose Herbs, Host Defense Mushrooms, Goodland Creative, DNA Hemp, Wisconsin Mycological Society, Driftless Folk School, Herbs on the Side, Frontier Co-op, Herb Farm, Pacific Botanicals, Great Lakes Herb Fair, and Natural Awakenings magazine. If you're interested in learning about sponsorship opportunities, please visit midwestwomensherbal.com. And do we have anybody on the call tonight that's familiar with Mycelium Mysteries? Let me just put my speaker view on. So if you're familiar with Mycelium Mysteries, we'd like to announce that we're having a special trip in Mexico this year. There's Sabina saying yes. Thank you, Sabina. Mycelium Mysteries Mexico is being led by Linda Conroy and Kim Hunter, and they recently held an information call. And we can put that link in the chat, and we'll also put that in your follow-up email. So Mycelium Mysteries Mexico with Midwest Women's Herbal is a women-led journey into Oaxaca, the forest kitchens and workshops where fungi, craft, and ancestral knowledge come alive. Guided by local mushroom foragers, herbalists, and silk artisans, this journey drops you into a living culture of fungi, craft, and deep relationship with nature. Building on 10 years of Mycelium Mysteries gatherings in Wisconsin, together we'll forage in the forest and feast on what we find, explore traditional medicine, dive with mushrooms and plants, and celebrate the resilience and richness of women's knowledge in Oaxaca. This information will also be included in the follow-up email where you can read all the details. Pardon me one moment. At Midwest Women's Herbal, we believe learning should be accessible year-round. We happily bring a variety of virtual learning experiences directly to you via the Herb Women Classroom. Here you'll find a rich selection of intentionally crafted learning packages, individual workshops, and full conference recording packages that you can enjoy all year long. There's always something new to discover. We also have the Herb Women Classroom, the Herb Women Community Membership in the Herb Women Classroom. We have several different levels where you can receive the community conversations or learning packages, modules that we send out on a regular basis. And there's several different levels that you can explore there. And let's see, those membership levels, some of them come with a monthly Q&A with Linda Conroy, a mentoring session that's held live each month on Zoom. And in yesterday's session, Linda talked about herb qualities, and I heard it was a really fun one. I didn't go there last night. I often attend, but I heard it was a really enjoyable session. Let's see, moving on, we have registration is open for the 6th annual In Our Own Hands series. And one of the reasons we're having this call tonight is so that you can learn more about Celia Farran and what she's teaching, her vocal empowerment course. And we've got Skills of the Herbal Mystic with Reverend Judith Laxer, Sacred Seeds for Radical Nourishment with Lisa Gonora, Writing as a Healing Cauldron with Julie Tripp Weaver, Vocal Empowerment for Women with Celia Farran, Trees as Kin, Trees as Healers with Isla Burgess, and Stressless Botanicals, Food and Activities that Support the Nervous System with Linda Conroy. We also have several other community conversations that we did with Julie Tripp Weaver and Reverend Judith Laxer that you can go to the Community Conversations homepage and watch those and learn more about those presenters as well. All right. So there's always a lot of work going on behind the scenes at Midwest Women's Herbal, and we announced last week that registration for the 15th annual Herbal Conference is now open. So, woohoo! Celebrate, celebrate. So, a lot of work goes into this, a lot of communication with the presenters, and a lot of work getting the registration forms put together and the website. So, we're really happy to announce that. And I know Barb's been putting all these links in the chat. And again, we're going to have that information in a follow-up email. All right. So our guest Celia will be introduced in a few moments. And at the meantime, I want to share at the end of tonight's conversation, you'll have an opportunity to win a ticket to the In Our Own Hands Wellness Series. You'll also have an opportunity to win an apron. This is the Midwest Women's Herbal Apron. And the graphic is from Pat Armstrong, one of the elders that has been attending the conference for a long time. And you're also going to have a chance to win a digital download of Celia's album, Goddess Songs Volume 1, that includes 12 songs to uplift the everyday goddess in us all. You need to be present to win, so stick around to the end. All right. At this time, I'd like to introduce Linda Conroy, the founder and visionary for Midwest Women's Herbal. And, I started attending the Midwest Women's Herbal Conference, about 13 years ago. And then after some time, I spent some time with Linda in an herbal apprenticeship and an internship. So I spent several years with her pretty regularly. And I'm really grateful for that opportunity. And now I've joined the Herbal Conference team as a coordinator, and I'm really excited to be introducing her tonight. So I'm going to read her bio. Linda Conroy is a bioregional herbalist with over 30 years of experience as an educator, community organizer, event producer, and clinician. She founded Midwest Women's Herbal, its related programs and events, and Moonwise Herbs. Her work draws on the tradition of the village herbalist, honoring women's natural connection to the earth and their healing abilities. With a hands-on, experiential approach, Linda helps people build personal relationships with local plants and ecosystems, believing the most effective and sustainable herbalism comes from what grows nearby. She also weaves mushrooms into her practice, focusing on their benefits for human health and ecological balance. Her blend of herbs and fungi highlights local availability, traditional wisdom, and practical use, and is showcased at the annual Midwest or Mycelium and Mysteries Conference. At its heart, her work fosters deep ties to nature, supports the earth, and builds resilient communities through women's empowerment, shared traditions, and nourishment. So, welcome, Linda.
Thank you, Sherry. And thank you for the work that you're doing. It's such a delight to have you involved with the conference and to have you be producing a lot of the events now alongside me and the other women. So, and thank you, Barb, for being here. Um, I'm super grateful for all of the women who work on this team. It takes a team, it takes a village, and here we are. So, I am so excited to be here tonight. I These community conversations we've been doing, I think we have about 20 or 21 conversations that we've held over the past 2 years. And one of the things that I love about them is that I get to spend time with people that I really admire and really appreciate their work. And a lot of them I've known for a long time, and they've had some impact or influence on my work and on the conference offerings. And tonight is no exception. I'm super delighted to be here with Celia Farran. And I met Celia about 20 years ago at a conference that was named after one of her songs. The song is The Everyday Goddess, and the conference was the Everyday Goddess Conference. It doesn't happen anymore, but it happened for a couple years. A woman had heard Celia singing that song and decided to start a conference that would be reflective of that concept of the everyday goddess. And I think in some ways our events really capture that as well. And I know I was influenced by that conference as well as other women's conferences that I've attended to start the Midwest Women's Herbal Conference and have us gather. And Celia has been to our conference a couple times. This last year, she actually acted as our MC of the conference, and she did performances. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about Celia and I really love about her is that she utilizes her voice in a lot of different ways. You know, she has the capacity to command attention. Being the MC at the conference, she was a natural, and then performing at the conferences as well and sharing her music. And I know she's going to share some about her journey tonight. And we're also going to talk about a workshop that she's going to be doing at the 3-hour deep dive workshop on women's voice empowerment during our In Our Own Hands event in the winter. But I do want to read her bio as I welcome her in so that I don't miss anything. So her bio says singer, songwriter, comedian. Celia has been described as a cross between an earthy Anya, Joan Baez, and Tina Fey. She has been fascinated by the voice and singing since she was a small child. Celia has been singing, recording, sound healing with her voice and performing for over 45 years with training in stage speech and vocal singing. She's a recording artist with over a dozen albums. Celia also writes and records a song every week for her subscribers and offers online concerts. She teaches vocal workshops as well as private voice in person or via internet. Celia's comfortable and passionate teaching style will have you in awe of what your voice can do. So I'd like to welcome Celia, and I just want to say Celia is on a tour, and she is actually joining us from Hawaii. So let me get you up here on the screen, Celia. Hold on one second. Why am I not? Oh, here we go. Yes. There we go. There you are.
Aloha from Hawaii.
It's so great to see you. And I know when we first got on and before we started, I'm like, I'm in a scarf and all warmed up, and you're in a tank top.
It's true. It's true.
So Celia's on a tour right now. She's in Hawaii and then on her way to Australia and New Zealand. And are you going anywhere else?
I might come back to Hawaii after Australia, and then I go back to where I live, Pacific Northwest, and then I'll be hitting Minneapolis in March. Of all times and places to be in Minneapolis, I'll be there in March.
Well, that'll be a real contrast from Hawaii to Minneapolis.
So true. So true.
Yeah. Although not totally foreign to you because I mean, I met you, you were living here in the Midwest, so
I'm
you're
from
not,
Wisconsin. Yeah, I was
yeah,
born and raised in Farm,
yes,
Wisconsin. Yes, indeed.
yes. So you started your work and your career here in Wisconsin. And that's where I met you, is here in Wisconsin when we were at the Everyday Goddess Conference. And I love that song. I just think it's just such a testament to the life that the everyday lives that we live, that everything we do is goddess work, right? Every step we take, every meal we prepare, every whatever it is that we're doing. And I'm just wondering if you could just talk a little bit about the inspiration for that song and, also just your journey with that concept. I know a lot of your songs are about women's strength, women's empowerment. Um, yeah. So I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So yeah, that song, I was inspired to write that after taking a course when I was living in New York City, which was the first part of my career, which was theater. I was living in New York City and I was taking a course on Celtic mythology where I learned about the Morrigan, the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And I'm very kinesthetic. So when I write a song, I'm typically walking or moving. I can write it anywhere, but typically when I start walking and moving, I start writing songs. And of course, I was walking a lot in New York City to the subway and whatnot. And I started writing that song when I lived in New York City, at least the chorus, which is, it's really no big deal. I'm just an everyday goddess doing all my goddess duties, trying to find a way. I am the maiden and the mother and the crone, but it's really no big deal. It's just another day. So I wrote that part. And then when I moved to Wisconsin, I was in Milwaukee, and I decided I wanted to stop doing just Irish stuff and being known as the Celtic singer. And I started doing original material. And Willie Porter, who's an amazing singer songwriter in Milwaukee, was producing my album. He said, "We need another song or two to flesh out the songs you have here. Give me everything you've got. Every little snippet, every little anything, just tell me what you have." And I said, "Well, I got a song that's like this, I got a song that's like that, I got a song called Everyday Goddess." He said, "Do that one." I was like, "Really?" I wasn't sure the world was ready for the concept. I wasn't sure I was ready to sing those songs and those lyrics, the lyrics of that song. And we put it on the album. We wrote it. I finished the song, got on the album. It's become one of my most popular songs. It's almost become my moniker song. People call me the Everyday Goddess now. And it took me some time, talk about the voice and finding our voice and what we want to say and how we want to be in the world. It took me some time to feel comfortable singing that song. And now it's like nothing. Now it's, yeah, I am an everyday goddess, and so are you, and so are you, and so are you, and so are you. So I'm loving that I've been able to own it for myself and also help other women own the goddess within every single day in every single way, and that we are divine in that we make meals, in that we gather together, in that we take care of children, and that we take care of ourselves and others all the time. So all of the things that we do, and we're fierce too. We're also warriors, and we're able to handle things that it's like, how do we do this as women? But we do it, and we do it, and we show up over and over and over again as everyday goddesses. So that's the story behind that song.
I love that. And I love what you said. I think, that's certainly been my experience in terms of, moving along in your process or your journey where you do something and you don't know if you're ready for it. You find that you grow into it, we even grow into our voice, we grow into our expression of ourselves by continuing to walk the walk. So, just to back up a little bit from that, is how were you attracted to um, theater and to music? And it seems like um, you were attracted to that at a very young age.
True, true. It was very much in my family. You might have met my mom somewhere along the line.
I sure
Um,
did.
yeah, so she really made sure that if we showed an interest in something, that it was provided. And my dad too. They really were great supports in that way. So there was a piano, and we actually had two pianos in our house, and everyone got a chance to take piano lessons. My brothers were playing guitar and banjo, respectively, when they were, I would say, 5 and 7 years old, maybe a little older. But I remember being about 4 years old, watching my brothers play and sing together. They had the most cherubic, beautiful voices that harmonized so well together in a grade school gymnasium for a 4-H meeting. And I was probably about 4 years old. And it was the first time that I recall in my chance of being in a body on this planet at this time, what it felt like to have goosebumps and chills up and down the spine from listening to music. And it was in that moment that I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life. I said, I want to do that. I want to give people that. I want to create that. So I knew very young what I wanted to do. I did have a stint where I thought I might be a vet because I grew up on a farm and I've had almost every pet there is to have and loved animals. However, I think I was more drawn to the stage because I'm kind of a ham sometimes. If you all know me, I can be a little hammy, but I can also do, I love the spiritual and the sacred. I love singing like an angel and then, tickling your funny bone and switching things up. So that's how I came to music and performance. And then every chance I had a chance, I would take the opportunity to be in a choir or be in a musical theater production or a stage production or a film production. And I got my degree in theater performance from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. And then I went to New York City and started my career in theater. Then I took a trip to Ireland studying Celtic shamanism, went to these ancient sites, did shamanic journeys, met fairies and magical creatures in my visions, and got the message to stop being an interpreter of other people's work and start creating and performing my own creations, which is when I stepped away from the stage so much. And I created a show with my mom called Stories in the Stone, which was like a Celtic cabaret, which turned my career on its ear and started working more towards music, but using all that stage, all that voice work that I'd learned for the stage in what I do every time I get on stage, whether I'm speaking, telling a story, or I'm singing.
And you are, in addition to being a singer, you're a beautiful storyteller. When you tell stories, it's also really engaging and powerful. And I really love that. I was just thinking when you asked if I met your mother, I met her at the Everyday Goddess Conference, and the two of you were performing. You sang, and I think she recited while you sang a poem about your children are not your children.
That's
I don't know
exactly
if you.
what we did. Yeah, I would
Mhm.
sing the vocal part, and then she would do the spoken word part. And sometimes when we are together, we'll do that live. But I've also recorded her into my looper because I'm also a looping artist. So I can have my mother in a little box and I can have her voice come through. And we can still do the song together, which is really, it's a very powerful piece. Your children are not your children. If you've not heard it, look it up. It's just, and to see, I have a different perspective because I'm doing it and I'm on stage, but every once in a while I'll get a little teary because it's really powerful to see a mother and a daughter standing next to each other with those words happening. And yeah, my mom's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being really touched by it and also thinking, gosh, how powerful that she can recite that and be there with her daughter. And, because it's all about letting your children find their own journey and have their own path. And, I remember being, 20 years ago, being really struck by that, and I'll never forget it. So, absolutely
Mm.
has an impact, no doubt. So the other thing I really appreciate about you is that you have you're able to be serious, be, sincere, and then you also bring humor into your work. And, it seems like you're really good at bringing those things together. And where does the humor part, like, how is that important for you? And because I see you continually bringing it in.
Oh, I love this question. I am a strong advocate for play. And, children who play, it's beautiful, right? Adults who play is almost miraculous because we have so many stressors in our lives. And the way I approach everything is through play, through love and play. And there's, of course, the spiritual, beautiful, angelic singing that I love to do vocally. And I also like to use my voice with character work. And there are about 10 different characters over the years that I've developed. One is the most popular, I'd say, is the Trestlefoot Fairy. She's a little pink fairy. She's irreverent yet innocent. She has run for president several times. Her platform is "It's time to re-enchant the planet and vote pink," because she's a pink fairy. Vote pink and act green. And her most popular song, which is a co-write between myself and Lori Whalen, or really the Trestlefoot Fairy and Lori Whalen. The song is, you have to know what Dr. Bronner's soap is to know why the song is funny, but the song is called "Dr. Bronner's Makes Your Hoo-Hoo Tingle." And Dr. Bronner's, of course, is peppermint soap. So that playful side, I mean, it was really pretty much in both of my parents, very playful people, very lots of humor, um, a lot of funny. Like my family's pretty funny, and so I was raised around that. And of course, some of that funny comes from how we would process trauma. I try to find humor in things as quickly as possible. There's a saying, tragedy plus time equals comedy. And I figure the sooner we can get to comedy, the better we can transform the tragedy, not to gloss it over, not to push it aside or stuff it down, but to bring it, to process it, to bring it through, to give it energy. And I'm also a laughter yoga teacher. So there's laughter yoga leaders who can lead laughter yoga workshops, and then there's teachers who can teach people how to lead workshops. So I've done the highest level of training in laughter yoga, which changed my life in so many ways. And I have a laughter practice every morning. There is a laughter call on the phone, which I started 11 years ago. We laugh for 20 minutes with no jokes and no words. Then we have a little breathing together, and then we do a gratitude circle. It's free. We've done it for 11 years. Everyone is welcome. If anybody's interested, we could share that link. It's it would be 10 a.m. every day for Central Standard Time folks. And it's been such a great training for joy, to level up the capacity for joy. I love being around people who are quick to laugh, and I'm pretty quick to laugh and find the levity in whatever situation we're in. I can also find the tears because we need that balance, right? It's not just about, pretending that everything's fine. It's about expressing that energy in a way that feels good. And for some, that might be laughter. And for some, that might be poetry. And for some, that might be flowers. And for some, that might be petting your cat. So it's really about joy. And any way that I can raise the vibrational level of the planet through what I do is what I'm for.
Yes. So, do you have any tips for the women on the line that they can um, do simply to start to exercise their voice, bring their voice more present on a daily basis? I know you just said the call, but something that, we can do that would be really simple and just a couple tips. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about your workshop too, because I know we're going to be doing a 3-hour deep dive with you. But I was wondering today if you could just throw out a couple simple things that women can do.
Absolutely. And this is one of my favorite topics. I get so geeked out about the voice, the human voice, and what we have within us that many of us are not even aware of, the resonance, tone, expression, sounds that we have within us. So the first thing that I teach in the workshop, and of course I'll expand on it a lot more in the workshop, is if you take any one thing away from our time together, I hope it's this. And it is that this, and for those who are just listening and not actually seeing the video, I am pointing to my neck and my throat. This is not the voice. It's a very big, or maybe even small, part of what we need in order to make sounds. But really, and now I am motioning around my whole body from head to toe and the space that I'm in, this is the voice. And so I would liken it to, if you ever, you know how a cricket can make really loud and sometimes even annoying sounds just with those tiny little legs, rubbing together. The vocal cords are these tiny little parts in our body that when they vibrate, they create sound. But then where does that sound go? And most of us have learned that we push it out, we project it out. And one of the things that we'll explore in the class is really, what if we thought instead about pushing sound out, which creates pressure in a way that can often minimize the sound, rather pulling the sound in to space. Sound needs space to vibrate in. Our bodies have space. There's all these different spaces in our bodies where sound can resonate, including, if you want to get really metaphysical or even just physical, every cell is made up of mostly space. So we can vibrate our bones, our blood, we can vibrate our brains, we can vibrate our organs. And one of the things I love so much about singing and expression is that sound vibration creates energy in the body and can heal us in so many, and bring us into balance, sound balance. So perhaps you're thinking about taking the class and you're like, "Oh, but I'm not a singer. I'm afraid to sing. I don't want to sing." It's not necessarily just about singing. Most of us are speaking at least a few words, if not a whole lot of words, every day.
Every day.
Right? So what we'll explore is all the different components that we use to sing are the same components that we use to speak. And the more we can train our voices to be there for us, we can command where we want our voices to go, the more comfortable we can be in our skin when we speak. Sometimes truths that, especially I find for women, can be hard to speak because I'll speak for myself. There's a lot of things I've been afraid to say or didn't feel like I have the right to say. Even that song, Everyday Goddess, do I have the right to sing this song? I'm going to have to embody this. There's some discomfort that comes up in some of the things, and to just get into not just their voice, I'm pointing to my throat, but our voice, which is our whole bodies, our whole beings, and be able to express holistically. Not be talking heads where a thought comes in, it goes to my vocal cords and it comes out. I want a thought to come in and I want the breath to be the deliverer of the sound. The vibration lays down upon that breath, almost like a boat on a river. And that sound is that vibration. I use the breath to deliver the message that I want to share. And that means, that's the other thing I would say, the other tip I say is breath is God. And you may not have a relationship with God. What I really mean is it's life. It's the divine. It is inspiration. Without breath,
Goddess.
it's the goddess. Yeah. And yeah, however you want to look at it, I would say breath is the goddess because it's so life-filled. And that breath is the most important thing. It's the thing you need first before you can make any sound. It's the breath. So we'll do a lot with breath work and getting us each to feel what an authentic breath feels like. Because from that authentic breath, we can bring authentic communication. Instead of that, I had a thought, I'm thinking, I'm a talking head. No, I am a speaking being. I am an expressing being, and I'm using the breath all the way down to my diaphragm, down to my toes, and then bringing it up with whatever expression that I have. So it is well formed. And so I would say those are two pieces. This is not the voice pointing to my throat. My whole body is the voice. Breath is life. It is goddess. It is energy. And learning how to control that breath and utilize it so that we can then create sounds and be able to master those sounds so that we're not going to defaults. Look, many of us are using our voices in maybe 1 to 3 notes, and we don't use all of the pieces and parts of our voice, down in here, or even up in here, right? There's so much in a human being that can be expressed through our movement, through our eyes, through our breath and through our voices. I get so excited. Can't you tell?
Yes, well, I'm excited too listening to you. And I'm thinking about, I do a lot of public speaking. And one of the things that as you're talking is I'm remembering there was a time when I wouldn't always trust what would come out of my mouth or how it would come out of my mouth or, and when you talk about it, I'm like, oh, okay, you have to build that trust. And it's a relationship with your body, with the sound, with what's happening, with your whole body. I love that. It's not just a relationship with, like you said, like a talking head, but it's a relationship with your whole entire being, and that you can trust what is going to be delivered and feel just feel whole in that. So when you're saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, I can even relate to that in building up my public speaking work that I've been doing is over the years is being able to speak more deliberately, more clearly, not say a lot of ums. Early on I remember lots of ums and
Yep, we'll address that too in the workshop.
yes.
Definitely.
And now, I'm sure for you too, a lot. I don't know if you ever did that, but for me, there's that's pretty rare that that's part of my presentation now, but it was at one time for sure. So, can you name a couple things? Are you going to be doing some exercises in your class to be able to experience this? You're going to be doing any experiential things? I know that's always surprising to people in Zoom, but you can do a lot even on Zoom with experiential activities with this kind of thing.
Absolutely. And I am a very experiential teacher. And the reason I want to do voice work experientially is I can talk about it, sure. But what I want is for you to be able to feel what it feels like in your own body. So you can open and experience that opening or that directing or that new tone, and then lock it in and remember it to be able to revisit it later when we're not all together talking about it. So it's very important that we try these things out. It's not just theory, it's what does it actually feel like in my own skin, in the shape of my mouth, in my head? Where am I feeling the vibration in my own body so that I can revisit that later and recreate it if I want to? So, absolutely, it will be experiential. We will play. I will ask you all to do things that might be even kind of weird and maybe even a little uncomfortable. And what I'll ask us all to do is stretch the edge. And of course, one of the things I always say at the beginning of a workshop, any workshop, is you are the author of your own experience. You know your body better than anyone else. You've lived in it for a very long time, some of us. So we all defer to the individual on what feels comfortable and what does not. There will be no vocal police. There will be no, you've done it wrong. Everything is a gift. Everything is an opportunity. It's never an obligation. It's always an invitation. We want to create a lot of safety around our voice and our experience because it can be an extremely vulnerable thing to start opening up places and spaces in our bodies and our voices. It can bring up some past memories or traumas of messages we've been told, be seen and not heard. If you're in the choir and they told you to be the one to mouth the words instead of making sounds, or maybe mama said was her nerves were just a little shot that day and she told you to be quiet. We all have these messages that we've stored and remembered, and so we want to create safety. So I'm going to ask people to stretch. I'm going to ask all the goddesses out there to stretch, and also invite us all to take good care of ourselves and do what we feel comfortable doing, and definitely do not do what you do not feel comfortable. Do not do anything that is uncomfortable, within the realm of also try it, stretch it a little bit, because we also don't want to hide in the shadows and not have the experience because we're too restricted in what we will and will not do. So safety is absolutely so important, and we will focus a lot on that in the process of a lot of experiential play in the workshop.
Nice. You know, at our conference last spring, we had my one of my teachers, Jillian Tripp Weaver, who's also teaching a writing workshop in the series, and she did an opening with our team for intention setting, and she had us all sing our names. And that was such an amazing experience for everybody, because singing your name, I think about the reason I'm bringing it up is as you're speaking, I'm like, singing our name is embodying ourselves, right? And really bringing, um, our full body, and really everybody sang their name in a different tune, a different expression. And it was really beautiful to witness how people would sing their own name. And so that is something that I've even played with since then a little bit. And um those kind of things are just such great opportunities, and just those little things can open up a portal into some new insights. So
I love
uh,
that.
yeah, I really really love that too. And so I just wanted to bring it up because this conversation's reminding me of that experience. um so do you have any other tips? We're starting to get to the end of our time, but I'm wondering if you have any other tips or um, ideas for women, or things that you've experienced that you would like to share to inspire women to utilize their voice more, to play with it. Do you have anything else that you would like to put out there?
Yeah, well, yeah, I could talk forever. I get so excited about the voice, as you can tell. Um, we'll be unpacking the different components of speech. So things like rate, which would be how fast or slow we speak. Pitch, which would be the on the scale do re mi fa sol la ti do, right? Whether it's a high pitch or a low pitch. We'll be exploring volume. How loudly are we speaking and how quietly are we speaking? And then tone. We'll talk a lot about tone, and I don't necessarily mean your tone of voice, like I didn't like your tone of voice there. I mean more, where is sound resonating in the body? And there are different spaces and places in the body that we can direct that vibration, because the vocal cords start the vibration, but then where does it go? And when we're able to start directing where it goes, it could be more in this open space down here, which more jazz singers would sing, that sort of summertime and the living is easy. That kind of low me sounds. Or it could be that chest voice, like the sun will come out tomorrow. Ha, ha, ha. That's that powerful, the voice you want to use when somebody's stealing your bike and you want to say, hey, that's not okay. So that, command of the volume there. And then there's more of a head voice. I call my soft palate, and we'll talk a lot about this in the workshop. I call it the cathedral in my head. And when we yawn, it raises up and it creates a dome-like space, more space for sound to vibrate in. And that would be more like the ooh, ooh, the space you can spin sound in spaces in your body. It feels amazing. I mean, it's like euphoric when you finally get that. And I would love everybody to have at least a little experience of the euphoria of making sounds in our bodies. And then there's also this more nasal sound, like that would be more twangy. A country singer might use that a little bit more. So you can use the same note, the same singer or speaker, and it can have lots of different qualities. So you have all these different tones, right? And then you can start mixing and matching them and blending them. So my hope is that everyone who comes to the workshop will get a vocabulary of possibility for choice in how the voice can be used, which now opens up this playground of expression. And I like to think that as long as you have a voice and as long as you have either a piece of poetry or a song to recite or sing, you will never be alone. You will always have something to play with. And it comes from self. We are a walking instrument. Even if we're not speaking, we have our hearts are beating. There's blood pumping through our veins. There's the sound of hair growing. There's sometimes our tummies gurgle, right? So we are sound in that we are. And then we have this amazing thing called our voice. And it allows us to create words and expression and sounds. Like when we eat something we love, is we get to express that. And my hope is that everyone who comes and shares in that time with us will walk away with a brand new perspective of their voice and have tools to be able to play with, train, express, share from new places within the voice.
Nice. So, two things I want to say, and then I have a question. One is that as you're speaking, and in my work as an herbalist, I'm very aware, one, that our very breath comes from the plants. So doing plant work and sound work is really powerful and profound. And that the plants, I relate to them on a vibrational level because that's where they're at. I find the plants really enjoy song. I wouldn't consider myself a performer, but I love singing with the plants. I love having that vibration and that connection. So when we think about Midwest Women's Herbal and this work, to me there's that overlap. Like there's a really strong connection and reason to delve into this kind of work. And the other thing is, I lead a lot of workshops and apprenticeship programs. And one thing that happens a lot is women will come along, and they may be a little bit older and they'll say, "Oh, I wish I had started this sooner." And my answer always is, you start whenever you start. And I'm wondering, is there any reason not to start this no matter what your age is? I mean, what are your thoughts around that?
Oh, I'm with you 100%. As we march forward in years, many of us will start to hear changes in our voices. And if we let's say we were a singer in our younger years and we stop singing, we tend to lose range, we tend to lose tone, and we tend to lose control. All those things are trainable at any time in our lives, just like any muscle system. We can train it at any time. And one of the great things about training the voice is you can practice these things throughout the day, every day, because guess what? We're all breathing all day long. Every time we breathe, we have an opportunity to change the quality of that breath. Every time we open our mouths to speak, we have the opportunity to direct the quality of the tone, the sound, the words that we are going to express. So age has no bearing on learning these things. What I would say is if we really want to train our voices, then it takes time and energy to retrain the muscular system to have absolute control over what we produce with sound. So the more you can train to have breath support and to, if you're going to sing, right, to be able to sustain a very, very, very long note or phrase. Those things sometimes take training and doing these things over and over again so the body just knows. And I think as we grow older with our voices, it's even more important to bring those pieces and parts online. One of the things we'll talk about in the workshop is what's called a glottal fry or vocal fry, and I'll demonstrate it. And you've probably heard this in your own voice at times or in other people's voices. It happens for me when I get tired and I don't activate all of this when I use my voice, and I get tired and I start talking like this. And it's very thin, it's very gravelly, it's not, it's not embodied, and it's I'm not actually phonating and allowing the vocal cords to do their part and allowing the breath to do its part and then allowing the resonators to do their part. As we get older, we tend to not use the vibration of the voice, and it tends to get a little more crackly, a little more dry sounding sometimes. Maybe it's not even, I can't even do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. So it's hydration is obviously very important. And there's probably a lot of things that I don't even know about different herbs and tinctures that will help soothe the voice, create the vocal cords coming together in a way that is balanced and healthy. I know I recently lost my voice for the second time in my career. And if Judith's out there, she was there when it happened. She was amazing. Judith Blackster, our beautiful Judith. And she had throat coat tea for me there at her house. And I just started drinking the licorice tea. And there's different things that are out there, like Singers Saving Grace, but I'm imagining you or other herbalists have your own versions of a spray or something that we can put into our bodies and onto the vocal cords themselves, the vocal folds, to support them in vocal health. So there's lots of things that can happen with hydration. And with one of the things I did when I lost my voice is I put castor oil on my throat to allow it to sink and seep into the skin. I think that really helped me a lot. Nebulizing or doing steaming. There's a vocal health aspect that we'll talk about as well. And I'm not even sure what question you asked me. Oh, the age. Is there a certain age that we shouldn't start doing this? Absolutely not. I mean, unless you don't want to talk anymore or sing anymore, if you don't want to use it anymore, don't use it anymore. But if you do want to use it, why not explore it?
Yes. So we had a question in the chat from actually Cornelia Cho, who I'll just do a little quick plug for her. She's going to be doing a 2-day intensive at our conference on Transform Your Voice, Transform Your Life, which is work she does. So if you really want to deep dive, go to Celia's workshop and then go to Cornelia's workshop. But Cornelia was asking if you could do, if you might be willing to do some type of a short demo with someone. Or maybe you could even just demonstrate how to embody your whole voice. I know you've done a little bit of demonstrating, but she's asking if you could demo with someone who would volunteer.
Oh, like right now?
Yeah. And just maybe a minute or two.
Absolutely. Who wants to play?
Who wants to volunteer? Do we have anybody who wants to volunteer? How about you, Cornelia? Do you want to volunteer since you asked?
I can volunteer, but I wanted to give somebody a chance.
Well, here's your chance.
Okay.
Okay, hold on one second because I'll put you up on the screen here. Let me find you. See if I can be tricky about this. Just give me 1 second.
I just like if you're experiential, it can be nice to experience it when you're trying to decide about a workshop. So
yeah, absolutely. So my question for you, hi Cornelia, it's good to see you. Hi. So my question for you would be, if you had it all your way and you could evolve one thing about your voice, what would it be?
So sometimes I have a volume problem. It kind of depends on the situation, but I have actually been able to address it fairly well. But I would be interested to hear, because you've had to do this, I'm very interested to hear about your tips for increasing your volume without stressing your voice. Because that's really valuable information.
So. Okay. So a specifying question is, are we talking specifically about speaking or about singing?
With me, I'm mostly talking about speaking.
Okay. Okay. So, of course, you're going to start with breath, because breath is goddess, source, everything. And so what I'm going to ask you to do, Cornelia, is put one hand on your belly and one hand on your lower back and breathe into your hands. And I'm going to ask you to, when you breathe in, almost breathe in as if you are excited to see someone you love, like this. Yeah. So that now you have breath really quickly and support down here really quickly. And then what I want you to do is that excitedness and go, hey, and have it jump from the belly. So go ahead and you try that.
Okay. Hey!
Nice. That's some pretty good volume there. You've got some power. So
Okay.
now what I want you to do is put these fingers on your throat. This is where your vocal cords are housed, and you're going to release your Adam's apple. We call it the Adam's apple, or we call it the larynx down. So like what happens when you yawn. So you're going to, yeah.
Okay.
Can you feel that? Notice what's happening with your tongue, and try not to pull the tongue back. Let the tongue lay on the bottom jaw. Yeah, you can just let it be, and then release this down here. At the same time, you're going to raise the dome in the back of the throat, which is your soft palate. So it's almost like there's this open space that happens in the back. So, and that's what's going to happen when you breathe in and you go, that should all just open up, and this should come down. Okay. And now try that.
Okay. So you do the release and then, okay, so.
You're doing great. So excited. I'm sorry, I spoke over you. So try it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You felt like you had a lot of power. Did you feel any strain in here when that happened?
A little bit, but I'm also wearing two turtlenecks and a necklace. So this is like probably the worst thing I could be wearing to try this exercise right now, but
you can still do it. So what I'm wanting to have you experience is creating that open space, so that when you're speaking, you're not causing tension here. And the power is coming from the diaphragm, not from the throat.
Right.
To release this down, ha, 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 ha. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that will
good.
give
I
you
see other people doing it with me, so that's nice.
Actually, I don't have the view of everybody. I just have the view of you, which is fine. We're doing this together. So opening that space and not giving these vocal cords a job they're not equipped to do.
Right.
And allowing that breath to then come through and vibrate the vocal cords, but then allowing that sound that you create to go into the resonators. And that's going to be a whole other thing and way longer than a minute. So that's what I would say for you, is that every time you have a chance to breathe, and this is for everyone, every time you have a chance to breathe, which hopefully is a whole lot during the day, think about opening the back of that throat space and releasing this down. So it's when I speak, I lay the sound down upon the breath and into that open space. Versus, I'm smelling smoke around here. I just want to make sure everything's okay.
Ooh.
I think we're okay. So versus when we're closed off here and then we get all that tension in here, right? I want to think about, I want to lay the sound down upon that space. And then I can have that volume. And then I'll show you here. I can also use this, to almost bring forward that sound and have it come from here, not here. So if I want to speak, hello, it's from here. Did that feel like that? Was that helpful for you?
I like thinking about relaxing this area and not straining the vocal cords as much. I think that's useful.
Yeah.
I also do some anger release work and have to coach people around not damaging their vocal cords. So
yeah, so that's a big part. That's why I asked, how did it feel? Because only you know. If I can kind of hear when they're strained, but only you know what it actually feels like inside you.
Right.
And being our own awareness, having our own awareness around that is going to help guide us. I could have relaxed a little more. I think there's more in there. I'm gonna invite my body to move in this way now, and then try it again. And there's lots of other things that we could do to bring about more control for volume. And I just, that was my instinct to do with you just now. So I hope that was helpful for you and for everyone else.
No, thank you.
Good to see you.
Yes. So
yeah, and thank you for the question, Cornelia, and for inspiring that. So,
yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah,
well,
it's always helpful to see what
yeah,
people are talking about. So
yes, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, well, that was a great conclusion. I want to see if anybody has any last questions. And then if not, we will close and we will hand the mic over to Shuri so she can share a few things and do some giveaways. Does anybody have any last questions or anything you want us to check in about? Okay, well, Celia, it has been such a pleasure to be with you as usual, and I can't wait for your workshop. I'm very excited about it, and have a great rest of your trip. And I
Thank
think we'll
you.
be with you when you're in either New Zealand or Australia next time.
Yeah, so I may or may not be this chipper because for me it will be about 4:30 in the morning in Australia when I teach the workshop. But don't you worry. I'm a performer at heart and I can do anything and anytime.
Well, thank you for being willing to get up and do that. We really, really appreciate it.
Yes,
All right.
resilience is part of vocal training is resilience.
So I'm going to hand it over to Shuri and let her take over from here, and she will close us out.
Thank you so much, Linda. It's good to see you and
Thank
hear you.
you. It's great to see you too.
Wonderful. Thank you, Linda. I'm really excited. Celia, sometimes I feel like if I've been talking a while, I feel like my voice gets tired. I don't know if that makes sense. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so like when I was in retail and after you're talking and explaining the same thing over and over again and talking all day. So I'm looking forward to this so I can learn how to maybe preserve that or work through it and use my voice differently. So and I wanted to let everybody know that as part of your workshop with In Our Own Hands, you'll get a recording that you can save and download. So you'll be able to practice some of the exercises that Celia is going to bring to us later on, and you'll have those for reference. So you'll get a recording of her workshop and the other workshops. So thank you, Linda and Celia, for the conversation. Cornelia for jumping in as a demonstration there. And thanks, Barb, for all your tech support tonight and putting everything in the chat. We'll put some information on how to connect with Celia in the follow-up email, as well as the laughter party that Barb put in there for us. So, all right. So, for the winners tonight, we'll ask you to send an email to herbwomen@gmail.com. Barb just put that in the chat. So, we're going to ask you to send us your email when we announce the winners. And if I could have you ladies, I know a lot of people listen with their cameras off, but if you could open up your cameras, it helps me to kind of see some folks here and be able to pick. And the first thing we're going to give away is the registration to the In Our Own Hands. So this is for the whole In Our Own Hands ticket. It starts January 10th, runs through, I think it's March 24th, those Saturdays, every other Saturday for 3 hours. And how about if we give that to Jenny? I see Jenny there. Hi, Jenny. Thanks for the wave. Go ahead and
Thank
send.
you. Thank you. I look forward to that. Thank you.
Great, you're welcome. So go ahead and send that email to herbwomen@gmail.com. And then we're going to give away the apron. How about Linda Boulette? Linda. I see you there. Linda Boulette. Am I saying your name right? Yeah. If you want to go ahead and send an email to herbwomen@gmail.com, we'll go ahead and send that apron out to you. And this is a digital download of Celia's album Goddess Songs Volume 1 with the 12 songs in it. And let's see here. How about One Feather? I see somebody with the name One Feather there. If you want to send us an email to herbwomen@gmail.com, we'll send that over to you. How to get that digital download. And that is it for tonight. We thank you all for coming. We like to invite everybody at the end here if you want to open up your mic or type in some gratitudes and thank yous and say goodbye and thanks to everybody. And we hope to see you at the In Our Own Hands virtual Women's Wellness Series that begins in January. And check out MidwestWomen'sHerbal.com. Registration's open for the Spring Herbal Conference. There, I'm singing. Look how inspired I was. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, ladies.
Good night.
Bye.